Oh hey, I just saw that new Obsession movie by Curry Barker. This is about a socially anxious introvert named Bear who wishes that his best friend Nikki would have a crush on him. When I opened up my reviews with these little synopses, a lot of the times I'm leaving out some major B plot or details that'll spice up the movie a little bit. But for Obsession, this is pretty much the entire movie. It's a simple concept that the movie takes advantage of, creating one of the most exciting horror movies of the year. I was not familiar with the game of this cast list. Each of these four main actors are spectacular. Michael Johnson plays the lead, Bear, who's incompetent and pitiful, but also multi-layered and eventually horrifying. Indy Navarrete plays the love interest, Nikki, who's distant but caring. It doesn't stay this way long once the movie picks up. Cooper Tomlinson and Megan Lawless are also wonderful contrasts to our leads. I hope this shoots off the careers for four young talented actors. Andy Richter's here. He could do jack shit and I'd celebrate. One of the beauties of Obsession is that it tells you what it is from the beginning. Nikki is having an off-to-the-side conversation where she mentions a story that was about love but not a romance. And don't be confused. This is not a romance on any level. This is a grotesque tale about manipulation. And I guess it's about love on some level, but this throwaway line sets the tone for what you're getting into moving forward. A lot of the other foreshadowing works just as well, with its several hundred reminders of the phrase, "all you have is time," and the idea that this curse can only be broken by Bear dying. One of the reasons this sucked me in was its blend of modern and rustic settings. Bear's home has the decorations of your grandma's house, rather than a 20-something-year-old who can't talk to women. There's not an empty wall in sight. Each space has personality, as well as the costume designs that match it. I'm thinking specifically of Bear's last costume, which blends in with his home, creating a very satisfying ending shot. I love the somewhat cold lighting that warms up as Bear's wish comes true. The movie doesn't lose its hue, but it darkens out as the situation gets worse and worse. There's a warm fuzziness and lo-fi aesthetic. The humor never tonally fucks up the movie or feels out of place. Even during serious moments, I found myself laughing in a way that didn't break my immersion. This is thanks to not only the quality of the jokes, but these multifaceted characters and calculated writing. The downward spiral into the horror itself is gradual. While watching, I forgot for a minute that this isn't a romance. And when the other shoe drops, you're quickly snapped back into reality. This isn't the scariest movie I've seen, but it does an amazing job of building suspense. There are hardly any jump scares, and when there are, they feel earned. Obsession does an amazing job of painting Nikki as something she isn't, non-human. The lighting creates these striking silhouettes that make her seem like a monster. The environments tend to trap her in these dark spaces. You can't even tell when her eyes are open at some points, which is really important, by the way. Obsession teaches you to be aware of your surroundings, as you'll catch her lurking and peeping in places you didn't expect. It leads to this mentality where I was continuously focused on the background rather than the subject itself, which is something the movie rewards you for doing. There's a shot that I love where Bear is talking to Ian, but the camera's focus is on Nikki because that's the only thing occupying Bear's mind. Obsession is also somewhat patient. It uses its intensity sparingly, and when the movie does get brutal, it punches you right in your stomach. It's satisfying because you end up at this point where you've really been waiting for shit to hit the fan. On that note, the special effects are gummy and horrifying. Bear himself is an almost perfect horror movie lead. He's the protagonist as well as the antagonist, but this is not a story of man versus self. There aren't moments of reflection, and this isn't about a man overcoming his demons. This is about him facing the demons he's created. He's the only cause of his problems, and he makes the situation continuously worse. At first, you think he's a bumbling idiot, and then you realize how truly ruthless he is. One of the first of many wow moments for me was hearing Nikki's screams through the phone. Bear is obsessed with the optics of Nikki. He likes the attention, sex, and validation, but he doesn't care about her. He wants the manic pixie dream girl, but he rejects the idea of her having any autonomy. Part of it kind of gets to him, at least on some level, as he consistently seeks validation from Nikki, asking if she truly loves him or not. A lot of the times in a condescending and aggressive tone, by the way, but he can't stand the reality of Nikki's true emotions, like the phone call or her directly begging for help. I almost wonder if some of this is a statement on incel culture. The guy who can't bring himself to admit feelings even when prompted has no problem yelling and trapping a woman for the rest of his life. Bear doesn't seem to know Nikki that well. When Sarah tells Bear that Nikki wasn't close with her dad, this catches him off guard. She was there for him when he was struggling emotionally, but he couldn't do the same for her. At one point, Bear almost cheats on Nikki with Sarah, showing that he could have been totally content with her despite pushing her away in the beginning. Another trait that makes Nikki an effective monster is you're never sure how she's gonna be set off. Whenever Bear says something that pushes her away, there's this pause, and then the bomb goes off. The timing is always spot on, and you're never sure when she's gonna slightly deflect versus lose her shit. Obsession also has this haunting and dreamlike soundtrack that I'm crazy about. I love these synth lines that detune into something that sounds like a nostalgic love or liminal space. It kind of reminds me of the PS2 opening. Some of the songs grow into something that's shoegaze adjacent, while others grab those synth lines and smash them with a hammer. It's actually magical. I'm getting like chills thinking about it. The two primary themes I got out of this were on consent and rejection. Both of these are things Bear struggles with, especially as his codependency develops. The ending is dramatic and epic. You think it's gonna be this Romeo and Juliet finish where they both end up killing themselves, but this isn't a romance. This is a love story. And since the feeling isn't mutual, Nikki walks away, which blew my mind and makes so much sense thematically. The movie tells you time and time again that Bear's gonna die. So when he does, it's relieving. The ending also includes this moment with the tiger's eye, which is this charm that's supposed to improve Bear's confidence. When he first receives it, it's the first time he's able to stand up to Nikki. And so you're like, oh my god, maybe this actually will change him. But the ending reveals that this can't bring any level of assertion out of him. He still tries to make himself throw up before his inevitable demise. Something I'm kind of wrapping my head around is the mantra the movie repeats: all you have is time. Maybe this is meaningful because it's the only way he could have healed from his original obsession with Nikki, by trying to move on or waiting it out. Or it could be foreshadowing that the end of Bear's time is coming up. His cat ODs on pills, and the cat clock we see on the wall could be representative of him meeting a similar fate. The whole cat sandwich thing reminded me a lot of Fatal Attraction, which I think this could be a spiritual successor for. Okay, all in all, it would be a low-hanging fruit to say I was obsessed with this movie. But while writing and researching, I truly can't get out of my mind how amazing this movie is. I can't wait to rewatch this. This is a 9 out of 10.